Welcome to Money Management. In this week's edition, frustration for Genesis Wealth Advisors, PIS manages conflicts of interest, and the government mulls over possible changes to the superannuation contribution caps. First, here's your news roundup, brought to you by Securitor. The ACCC was supposed to release its findings on the AMP and NAB proposals to acquire AXA Asia Pacific today, but that deadline's been pushed out to April 1 for AMP's proposal and April 22 for NAB. The competition watchdog said it needs more time to consider the information it's requested from the merger parties. AXA Asia Pacific said 70% of its advisors are already using some level of fee-for-service as they prepare for regulatory changes. AMP's Steve Helmich said AMP Financial Planning and Hillross advisors were also well on their way to meeting the internally imposed July 1 deadline for the transition to fee-for-service, although Helmich said the shift wasn't without its challenges. And NAB-owned MLC launched a program it hopes will help salaried financial planners launch their own businesses. ING-owned RI Advice Group took a 20% stake in Ray Miles's new dealer group, Fortnum Financial. Miles said the deal wouldn't compromise the fledgling dealer group's independence or advisor equity model. The leaders of the FPA and the AFA confirmed they would consider a possible merger of the two associations. FPA Chair Julie Berry said the association wouldn't negotiate on its standards, while AFA Chief Richard Clippen acknowledged there's strength in numbers. Clippen said the past 2 years had shown the advice sector needs to improve its communication with government, the regulator and consumers. The AFA has created a new forum it hopes will allow licensees to collaborate on this and other issues. Industry super funds are becoming increasingly active in the financial advice space. Sunsuper named Stephen Travis as General Manager of its revamped Member Services division, where he'll run the super fund's new integrated financial advice service. And the advice arm of Equip Super announced it had reached more than $100 million in funds under advice. IFSA released more superannuation research last week, this time highlighting the barriers working mothers face in accumulating savings for retirement. IFSA is urging for superannuation payments to be included in any paid parental leave scheme voted on by Parliament. The government is seeking to tighten the rules around gearing in super, and debate continued over regulation of the SMSF sector. Lawyer Peter Townsend said calls for a major overhaul of the sector were unfounded, pointing to the agendas of those wishing to see SMSFs rolled into industry or retail funds. Dixon Advisory also wants the existing regime maintained, with the planning group arguing there should be no minimum balance for self-managed funds. And Tower Australia argued commission payments to financial advisors should continue to be paid with respect to superannuation-related insurance products. A former Macquarie Bank portfolio manager was stopped from leaving Australia ahead of a sentence hearing this week. The UK resident is being investigated for alleged insider trading. ASIC delayed the short-selling reporting deadline to give short sellers more time to get their systems in order, and the regulator put auditors on notice, saying there's some instances where auditors are falling short of the mark. Pension and other income support payments go up this week. And finally, confidential discussions between Count Financial and Mortgage Choice about combining their respective mortgage businesses have been called off without any agreement being made. Count Financial held its annual conference in Canberra this week. In this week's Money Management, Mike Taylor reports the government is considering changes to its superannuation contributions cap regime. Advisors at Genesis Wealth are frustrated over a perceived lack of support from the AXA-owned dealer group. And PIS is seeking to buy its advisors' shares in subsidiary funds management business Ventura in an effort to remove conflicts of interest. For the full details on all those stories, see tomorrow's edition of Money Management. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again next week.